Why is it that when a band breaks up, sometimes you just can't be friends anymore?
You've changed, man.
I said slag off.
But then sometimes you can.
Did we just become best friends? Yup!
I chat about this amongst many other things with my old bandmate Joel, but before I do that, let's just set the scene. What were you doing in the mid to late 2000s? For me, with two other guys, I had left my home and my life in order to pursue being a full-time musician, playing music all the time. We had dreams, we had goals of worldwide domination, and we had said goodbye to our friends and families. At that time, I was living in Adelaide, South Australia, and we moved to several places, basically no fixed address. And the band in question was a band called The Secret Game. That was our original band name. And lots of the time we were playing in a cover band, same people, just different songs and a different name.
Different, but still same.
One of the monumental things that we did is we did a recording overseas in Bali. I'd never been overseas before at that time. It was my first trip anywhere. It was a big, huge experience for me, and what felt like thousands of cover gigs in order to be able to fund our mixing of the recording and a manufacturing of the CD to be able to put out there. We gave it a really good red hot go. For me, I kind of had burnout, I guess, at the time, and also kind of missed my family and friends in South Australia, and so the band took a break.
We were on a break!
Now, from time to time, we would see each other, and we'd even occasionally play together, but we never really had that momentum of when we were all there in it, just playing with each other all the time. And fast forward to now, I've recently just got back from Bali, where Joel, one of the guys from the band, had a wedding ceremony, and it was a fantastic event. We got to hang out. We even got to play music together in the reception, which was fantastic fun. And while hanging out with him, it was really hard to escape all of the flashbacks of all of the different memories that we've got. And I thought that while I was there, it'd be great to be able to just catch up with him, whack a camera on, and then just chat some of those old times. What were the things that we really remember that really stick out, and what did we learn from that experience, and how are we now as people from that experience? I finally get to hang out with this guy. We don't see each other in person very often these days, but then as soon as we see each other, boom, straight back again.
One of the things that has been really great about this trip is being able to play music again with you.
And what Joel's referring to is probably the best thing that I think that a groom and or bride can do is think, it's my wedding, I'm going to play, I'm going to sing.
One of the absolute joys in my life is to play music, and a particular absolute joy in my life is to play music with you. And I thought, well, we could have a band, or we just do what makes us happy and we get up and play, and we don't have to play any particular songs because of a bit like a venue that says, oh, we need you to play this and this and this, or we didn't need to keep people there drinking.
Yeah.
They were staying.
Yeah.
And so we just got to have a great time.
Yeah.
And then last night when we actually played at my wedding, it was so easy. It was great.
It's funny hearing you say at my wedding, because we spent a lot of time with each other, like we're in our 20s.
Yeah.
And to hear those words, it's like, oh, we're getting old.
Well, as you kind of reminded me in a lot of ways today, we watched a video that we made from years ago when we had a band, and we look at those shots and think, oh my gosh, we look so young. Just like little baby faces, but yeah, here we are.
Yeah. Now, since the time that Joel and I did spend together in a band, my life hasn't changed as dramatically. I'm still a full-time musician. I just do a different version of it now. But for him, he's not completely moved on from music, but he doesn't deal with it in the same amount that I do. And so I found it interesting, and I thought I want to ask him, well, what is that like for you? What is your connection to music now?
How has music for you either changed or continued?
Music was such a big part of my life for 8 years or so, and certainly like probably 5 of that with you, and 4, 5 gigs a week sometimes, living together. We go on holiday together,
Yeah.
which is kind of a recipe for disaster. And so, having had that sort of intense period of playing music, and then to go off that almost kind of cold turkey. Now it's probably been 10 years of not very much music. My relationship with music has changed quite a lot, but I think that us getting back together and playing again is a reminder to me of how important it is actually in my life. Getting together and doing what we did last night, playing a really fun couple of sets. That's one of the things that like absolutely warms my heart. And so I like to think that this is kind of maybe the beginning of us playing music again, whether it's with each other or with other people.
Phase 2.
Yeah.
This could be the start of something big.
So many flashbacks. You know, chatting with him, I was remembering, man, we did a lot of communicating. And so we chat about the way that we used to do that and how that benefited us.
To keep the musical and friendship relationship healthy that you and I have is our honesty with each other, about how we're feeling, about what we think about songs, arrangement, the way we're playing something. We're able to say, I'm not so sure about that, and kind of talk it through rather than, bottle something up and be like, oh, I hate the way he's playing that. Piss me off or whatever.
Yeah. Actually find a way to just communicate.
Yeah.
So you just reminded me then, you said how we were really honest with each other. So then I just went dung 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 of 50 times where either you or I weren't happy either with the other one or just with the situation, and then the moment that you say it, it kind of stings a little bit in that moment. But then whether it's 5 seconds later, 5 months later, whatever it is, I found that it was 100% of the time always better, because then you create something new out of that, and it's better.
Yeah, I think that it's really important to be honest with your bandmates about how you feel. Whenever we've done that, it's always been better because of it. Sometimes it doesn't even mean that it changes very much or anything, but it's better because we've spoken about it, we've worked through something and figured out something that maybe is more of us both being happy.
Yeah. In those situations where you're like, oh no, you can feel it coming on, like, okay, we're going to have to chat about it or whatever, like either looking back or since then, what do you think are some good ways that you've managed to make it a better experience at the time, having to go through that?
If you can try and find a solution to the other person and say, look, I don't really like this bit, but here's a thought on maybe how we can do it, or another couple of ways we could rearrange this or play this slightly differently, rather than I don't like it. Like I don't really like it, and then not having something to say.
It's a proactive way of doing it, not being just a dick.
Yeah, but it's also tricky as well, because sometimes you don't like it and you don't necessarily know why, and you don't know what the fix is.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, then you can say, look, hey, this part of the song or this part of these lyrics or whatever, I don't really like it, but I'm not really sure why, and I don't necessarily have a fix. I'm just telling you so that we can...
There's so many ways, isn't there? So many different areas of music. It's not necessarily song creation. It could be this venue that we have to play at.
Yeah, but just, discussing it. And it's easier said than done.
It's an important thing to realise that if somebody's disagreeing with you, it's not an attack on you as a person.
Yeah.
Where you got to be really clear that we're all trying to go to this goal, this
Yeah.
destination of whatever good level of quality that you want to be doing musically. And so
absolutely.
if somebody else thinks that a different way of achieving that level of quality is different to what you think, well then it's just a matter of just talking it out and
Yeah.
figuring it out. Yeah.
But I do think that it's a reason why we have had such a good friendship and musical relationship as well for such a long time.
It is funny, like, because I sort of forgot that. It was like that was our superpower. There was like almost nothing that, you know, life, music, whatever,
Yeah.
that could get in our way, because we had our, like, it might take a while to kind of get through it, but yeah.
Now, the fascinating thing about chatting with an old bandmate compadre is that you don't ever see things exactly the same way.
Same, but different.
You might be standing on the stage experiencing the same song, the same crowd, the same, you know, sound in the room and everything like that. Doesn't mean that you share the same experience. And so I think it's great to ask somebody else that was there, how did you feel about either A, B, or C, or whatever, just because you get a completely different insight.
One of the things that you are really, really good at is getting the best out of a lot of musicians. For me, that was really important in kind of my musical growth. You're a much more accomplished musician than I was.
I just had a head start because I was born about 4 years before him, but anyway.
But the thing that you do sometimes is you used to put me in a position where I would have to maybe be a little bit uncomfortable musically, but you did it because you knew I could do it. And so sometimes I felt that as almost like a little sting, like, oh, why did you do that to me? But I also know to trust you, that you were able to see the things that I was able to do, but maybe didn't know I was able to do myself. As much as it can be uncomfortable to be in the presence of really good musicians when you feel like you're not, take those little risks that maybe those people push you into a little bit and have a crack, you know, let some of those people maybe with more experience kind of encourage you to level up, I guess.
Baby, I'm too conservative, having to turn and face the wall. My pants are running out, time scratched by your cheekbone. I'm tired of making that outfit so I can hide behind the door.
To remain like musically open, how do you do that? What's something that you yourself think, I'm gonna try and not be super biased, which is hard, but is there ways that you try and not be biased?
A few things come to mind. I think probably the best one for me, the one that really helped me, was there was a 60 Minutes interview with the Gibb brothers, so the Bee Gees, and this would have been in the 90s, and they're talking about how they write the songs. The interviewer says, like, if it's your idea and the other two don't like it, how does that work? And then every single idea that anybody had, they would try. They wouldn't go, nah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
And so we did that. Like, I remember sometimes begrudgingly trying to go, well, all right, we'll try it. But then from the trying, it may not be that specifically, but then it might take us to another area that, I never thought of that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Just try stuff.
Yeah.
Try heaps of stuff out.
All right. So you can't look back at a pretty big part of your life and not have your top memory and your worst memory.
Gee, it's fun hanging out and talking old musical times.
Likewise.
Speaking of the old musical times, what's the best memory you've got? What's the worst? I'll see if I can come up with it as well.
All right. Probably one of the best memories was our time recording, and then a gig here in Bali that we did, which had a great time. We were with a really excellent group of people in the studio, and then we had an opportunity to play a gig that was way beyond anything that I had thought I would be able to play. We played in front of like 5,000 or 6,000 people and a really good time slot.
Mm.
And it just felt like that was a bit of a musical high in a way.
For me, I remember just the special feeling that I had about our band. We had an opportunity to go into a battle of the bands and then won it. And then there was another one and then another one. So I remember that there was 3 times that we went into a battle of the bands competition.
Yeah.
Not really thinking like, no worries, we've got it made. Like just thinking, okay, well, let's just go and do this and just see what happens. And it managed to work. That was a special feeling that I had, that then I saw other things like that. So for instance, what you mentioned was an obvious example. And then that kind of carried through. Even when we each decided, I guess, sort of, it was a pretty organic way at the time that we were like, well, maybe I'll go try this for a while and then just kind of see what happens. And then we got back together and played occasionally here and there, but we had a different urgency and connection to, that thing where that's what we're doing and we need to take over the world. And even that was a special feeling that I didn't know that it was okay for me to not be striving towards playing at Wembley.
Yeah, actually, and look, when you're saying that, and I'm thinking about it, perhaps last night is one of the best moments musically. I just had such a fantastic time. And I like that when we play as well, there's humour in what we do. The musical jokes that we have that are totally in jokes, that are like just us. They're great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The amount of times that Joel's going to be singing a song, I just need that look of, what's the first line?
Especially when the first line of the song is the
song title.
The song title, yeah.
Blue, 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 blue. Yeah, blah, blee, blee, blee.
Okay, so the worst moment for me was it was a pretty big gig for us, where we're supporting Jimmy Barnes at a pretty big motor racing event, the V8's race.
Yeah, the V8 cars.
Yeah. And we had not one, not two, but it felt like 100, but I think it was 3 significant technical issues.
They were pretty much stuff that you had to deal with.
Even though it was kind of traumatic in a way, being in front of, thousands of people. It's like someone's just come and just pulled your pants down, you know. So you did this thing where you were able to signal to the crew that something was wrong, but you did it in a very entertaining way. I don't know if you remember it, but you said, Crafty's doing the technical difficulty dance right now.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I can't remember what. I just remember you saying that, and I remember we were talking about it afterwards. I was like, man, that's genius. Because I remember just thinking, oh my god, this is ridiculous. What am I gonna? I'm just dancing now, because I was like, what else am I gonna do?
that was a pretty stressful moment.
Yeah. So I mean, I like that in this we're talking about a bad time, but we still got something good out of it. But yeah, do you have one?
Worst moment is tricky, actually, because I think I probably have forgotten them out of not wanting to remember them. Overall, like looking back, everything that we had musically is incredibly important and a big part of my life that I look back with good feelings about.
So you could almost say that if bad stuff happens, which it's gonna, let's look at what has it been? Let's say 15 years or so since that we were there playing so regularly all the time that it's kind of gone.
And to be honest, it was, I'd say, easily the funnest work I've ever done in my life. To go and just play music and get paid for it and people like it, mostly.
Yeah.
Is ridiculous. We've said times before, like, how are we getting away with this? People, like, we were being paid pretty reasonably.
I do
and
remember saying that, yeah.
And we just have a good time and hang out with people.
You know what? You don't get to come down here for this sort of event very often. It's once a year. And I want to hear you guys make some noise for Hidden Valley and the V8s. Come on, make some noise, everybody!
So sadly, there was a bit of a full stop to our secret game era. And, you know, it is sad in one way because, you know, you have these dreams, you have these goals, you have these songs that they're just kind of put in a photo album where once in a blue moon you open it up and have a look and remember. And I just remember thinking that it's more important to me that we as people have a good camaraderie. That was definitely such a big thing that I really took from just, you know, having all of these memories flash back and whatnot. And so for me, as a person that has a music tips channel, I really feel that it's a very important thing to impart that, yes, music is very important and it's very profound and big in our lives, but so are the connections to the other people. And so being very caring of those relationships is in many ways more important than just the music itself. So for what it's worth, I hope that was helpful for you. I'd like to thank Joel, who a day after his wedding should have been so busy doing other things. What an absolute legend. So if you can, do me a favor and say, thanks, Joel. And remember that there's no E in Joel, which is short for Jolien. Now, also, if you're interested in finding out a little bit more, such a shameless plug, please check out whatever the links are for the Secret Games music. And also, if you got anything out of this video for yourself where you think, yeah, good to know for future older me, or wow, I remember my band days or whatever, and the connections that you had with the people in your band, please let me know. It's great to just chat about this stuff and reminisce and just share. Speaking of sharing, I'm going to leave you with this thought that I'd like to share with you, which I say at the end of every video, which is no matter where you're at with your musical journey right now, you don't have to do every single thing. Just do the next thing. I'll see you soon. Cheers.